Hello everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo with another video, and with this one I'm going to be talking about dance music, house music, and some trance music. And this kind of started, I have a lot of these CDs back here are all dance, house, techno, and that I picked up mostly, in the late 90s and early 2000s. And I'll talk a little bit about them so that, I can express, what I like, what I have gravitated toward. But I was watching Stunty's live stream, one of his live streams, and he was playing some really good house music. And so, I was Shazamming the songs that I liked to get some names, and it was like, he was making some recommendations. And I started thinking, wow, I should look up some of these. And then Jason at Low Noise Jason Skills was doing another one where he was playing a lot of, I guess, and I didn't know this before, but they're called the tools, which are like the basic beat tracks and instrumentation that a DJ uses to then, take another song by an artist, a popular song, and put them together to make the dance track or whatever. And, so Stunty was hot in there too. And I ended up giving him a link to a record store, that had their inventory online. And he found something to recommend for me. And I'm like, oh. And I went to the record store and I got what he recommended. Plus, I went to this other record store that really specializes in this type of music, and came away with a lot of stuff, and I'm going to talk about that. Some of it I really, really like, and it fits into my wheelhouse. Other stuff is, I kind of like it, but it's a little different, and I'm just going to take some other listens. One in particular was just kind of like off. I don't know. It's, but I'll get to that in a minute. But to kind of get an idea of what I like, I think the primary broad category that I really like is house music. And from there, I think I would say next would be trance music. Techno is okay. I kind of like that too. But the two primary genres or whatever are going to be house and trance. So, I've got a lot of CDs in that, realm. And some of the ones that I've picked up over the years, there's this one it's called Club Mix 97, okay? So, it's got Coming Right at the Train by Quad City DJs, Jellyhead, by Crush, the Motive 8's Pump House 7-inch edit, Boom Boom Boom, the radio version by Out There Brothers, Walking on Sunshine, the Jam Boys. This is Lenny B's Club Mix. Let me go through these. If Madonna Calls, Junior's House Mix by Junior Vasquez. And, let's see. The Roof is on Fire House Mix by Too Cool Chris. The Macarena by Los Del Mar. However, the version of the Macarena on here is not the one. I tracked it down, and I should have pulled that because, this one here. This is the mix of the Macarena, the Bayside Boys mix. This was the one that they played in the clubs, and I really, really liked. Interestingly, I did just see, this is the very first house CD that I ever bought, the House of Groove. So, it's got Snap, Rhythm as a Dancer, and the 12-inch mix, Annie Lennox, Walking on Broken Glass, the David Morales mix, Hadaway, What Is Love, the Rapino mix, TLC, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Ben Liebran Club mix, the KLF 3 a.m. Eternal live at the SSL, Dr. Alban, It's My Life, the Euro Club mix. So this was the first one that I ever got, and I liked it. And then I started, because at the time I wasn't living in Chicago, but I was going to the dance clubs in Boys Town, and there was a store. There was this series that it's called Peak Hour. So these are continuous mixes. They also have one that is called Uncut. So they have the different mixes, but then there's like a gap between the songs. They're not continuous. The ones on Peak Hour are continuous. And so some of them, like this is one of my favorites. It's got You're the Worst Thing for Me by Busaka, The Kiss Off by Brooke Allison, Lady Marmalade, the Christina Aguilera, Pink, Maya and Lil' Kim, Bumpin' and Jumpin', Kim English. So I've got a lot of these, and I even burned some that I didn't have, the ones that I bought. When I bought these, I mean, they were $25. These CDs were $25, which was expensive. We're talking, this is 19, is it 19? No, this is 2001, a lot of them. And, but yeah, they were expensive, and I looked up on Discogs, and a lot of these go for like $1 now. There's like no resale value. One of them actually is unplayable because I don't know what happened, but as soon as I put it in my CD changer, it won't read it. I have another one that's kind of like that. I mean, the other ones all play well. All my other CDs play well, but there may be some misalignment issues going on. I need to check that. Some other stuff that I really have found that I liked is stuff by DJ Scribble. I have the Essential Dance 2000 by DJ Scribble. This has got, what are my favorite ones on here is... Well, there's the Bob Marley versus Funkstar Deluxe, The Sun is Shining, Radio Deluxe Edit. Amber's Sexual, La Di Da, La Di Di, La Da Di, Li Da Di, Jesus. That was a great song. Love that song in the clubs. And this is the Thunderpuss 2000 club mix. I really like that mix. Olive, I'm Not in Love, the DJ Scribble and Anthony Acid remix. Moby, Body Rock, that's all right. Let's see, it's some good ones on that. Then I also burned a DJ Scribble, the DJ Scribble Summer 2000, the Essential Spring Break mix. There's some good ones on there. Jacata, American Dream, the Joey Negro club mix. I haven't listened to this one in a long time. Safri Duo was really hot for a while. I had the bongo song. It's okay. That probably, some of these songs don't have the staying power, but a lot of them do. Another DJ is Victor Calderon. This is something that I also burned. E equals VC squared, volume 2. Some great stuff on here. But again, wow, I haven't listened to this in like so long. Maybe it won't sound so great. And then this Halstead Circuit Tracks is something that I burned. A friend of mine had it. So this was from 2006. I'm not sure if that's when it was released. And then I also really like the Trance Nation compilations that the Ministry of Sound put out. These two I do play fairly frequently. I really like that. So that's kind of the music that I'm interested in and I enjoy. And like I say, some of those I haven't listened to in like ages. So I get a list of ideas from Stunty and decide, okay, I'm going to start looking for these. And so I did. I went to the store and I'm going to go through these in, it's kind of an order that makes sense to me anyway. This first one that I picked up was recommended by the proprietor at the store. This was the store that is not very far from me. It's within walking distance, and it specializes in house music, dance music, trance, and techno. So they sell a lot of 12-inch singles, as well as the compilations. And so, and the cool thing about this particular shop is that it has listening stations, a lot of listening stations. So, if it's not a sealed record in the shrink, you can take them out and listen to them, which is really, really helpful because there's just a ton of stuff. And while there are some songs that I really like, there are mixes of the same song that I don't like at all. But there are other mixes that, I do really like. So anyway, the guy who runs the store showed me where the Chicago house was, because that's all, with this discussion that was going on during Stunty's stream, people were talking about how important the Chicago house movement was in the 80s and 90s, and how influential it was to especially acid house, to the whole musical genre and atmosphere. And so when I wasn't living in Chicago then, I was living in Michigan, but when I would come to Chicago and go to the clubs, and when I started doing that, that would have been in the middle to late 90s. So that's probably maybe when acid house, the real deep acid house was, kind of things were shifting. But there were clubs in Michigan that I was going to that were playing a lot of this same music. I mean, there were some really good clubs that I was going to frequently in Michigan. There was Diversions in Grand Rapids, Michigan. There was the Douglas Dunes in Douglas, Michigan. In Lansing, there was a bar called Spiral. That was a great dance club. This would have been more in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then I went to a couple clubs that were down in the Detroit area a few times. I can't remember all their names. One I remember, however, was called Menjo's, which I believe was in Royal Oak. So anyway, so the proprietor pulls out these others for me to, as recommendations. And, of course I couldn't listen to them because they're brand new and are sealed. And one of them is this one here. This is from the Hot Mix 5 Incorporated. It says Acid across there. It's the Acid LP. And it's by Still Music in Chicago. Also looking at the credits on these recordings, I began to realize that, wow, there were a lot of record studios in Chicago that were producing a lot of this music. It was really, really interesting. So yeah, Hot Mix, Mickey Oliver's Hot Mix 5 Records in Chicago. These are remixes, new remixes of classics, so to speak, I guess from 1988. And, it's on some, pretty cool, red vinyl or whatever, yada, yada. And so I was listening to it, and the first song on side A, Pierre's Fantasy Club, mixed by Mickey Oliver, Ralphie Rosario, Dream Girl is the song. And it was, it was okay, But then this other song, Can You Feel the Bass? By Fortune, with a PH, Fortune, produced by Pierre. That song creeped me out. It really did. I mean, it was just, yeah, it just struck me as a little creepy. And then side two, you got Armando 151 and Fingers the Juice was a little bit better. But side three with Fingers by Ecstasy by Fingers, and then Gigawatts, also by Fortune, produced by Pierre, was much better. And then there's World Turns Around, Cool McCool, and then there's a mix of Pump Up the Acid, mixed by Mickey Oliver and Ralphie Rosario. So sides 3 and 4 were better. And the thing is that this was expensive. This was like 30 some bucks. And since I've looked this up in Discogs, and that was way overpriced. So, I'm not exactly sure about this one. I mean, these are all based on just one listen. But here's a needle drop that comes from this one. It's an okay, it's all right. But I'm starting off with that one because it is the weakest of the weakest of the records. Now another one that same proprietor at that store, and I'm just calling it that store because I had the name of the store, and I can't remember what it is, but it's an easy walk from where I live to go to it. The other one he recommended is this one, okay? So this is Upstairs Asylum Records, and it's Detroit, and it's Tyree Cooper, Classic Rewind Volume 1, okay? So again, we're talking about songs. These are remixes, re-edits, but they were, hits from the Acid House era, and I guess this is primarily from Detroit. You got Hardcore Hip House, Tony Humphries mix, re-edit from 2021. Then you got the track Acid Over, the Mike Dunn edit. I Fear the Night, the vocal mix featuring Chic, and then Video Crash, the last track too. So it's two on each side. And this is good. I like this. I like this much better. It's still not quite totally in my wheelhouse, but I do like it. And so for a new record that was recommended by, again, the proprietor from that store, that was an okay recommendation. Still a little overpriced, but I do like this. And I've got a needle drop on this one too. I think I'll probably consider looking at some of these others in the series, the Upstairs Asylum recordings from, I'm presuming that's from the Detroit scene. Now, the one that Stunty found for me and told me that I should pick it up because they had it at this store, and that store's Reckless Records here in Chicago. And it's this one here, okay? So it is reporting from Detroit. This is Terrence Dixon, all right? And so we've got the songs are like On 7 Mile, All Night, on 7 Mile All Night. Track 2 is Beautiful Jerusalem. B1 is Resolution. B2 is Eighth Chance. C1 is Dexter and Joy at Night. C2 is Reporting from Detroit, the titular track. D1, Music Box, and D2, Star Garden. Now this one kind of, again, this was like, took me back because it's not necessarily in my wheelhouse, but you know, I didn't hate it, and I'm going to give it some more listens because I really do believe this is going to grow on me. But it is something, you know, really different, not quite what I'm used to. Yeah, I'm going to give it multiple listens, and so here's a needle drop from this particular one. Terrence Dixon, reporting from Detroit. Okay. Now, the other thing that kind of, I had to write this, see, I got to put this little tag in there, 45 RPM, because, you know, I mean, it says on the label that it's 45 RPM, but I didn't see that right away. And, you know, but, you know, here we got the, you know, labels. You know, sometimes they play tricks. Now, the next two are records that I picked up that I was able to listen to first. One of them is in kind of, it's kind of rough shape, no skips, but it's noisy, and you know, maybe I'll find a better recording of it sometime. But anyway, and actually that's this one here, and this is Jack Master 6. Okay. This is DJ International Records, and you know, here's the, you know, the label, and this is you know, there's a couple, you know, a little bit of snoozers on here, but there's some good ones on here. So we've got, I'll just read here. We got The Way You Move by TBC, mixed by Sparrow Pagos, On a House Tip by Classique, mixed by Julian Jumpin. And then Don't You Want It, KLXC, mixed by Mike Dunn. Do That Dance, Cool Rock Steady, mixed by C.S. Loftus. I Want You by Robert Bond, mixed by C.S. Loftus. That's all side one. Side B, Shake That Body, MD3, mixed by Mike Dunn. So yeah, a lot of these are by Mike Dunn. Then we've got Body House, Fresh Force, mixed by Fresh Force. Boogie Oogie Oogie, they know that classic Boogie Oogie Oogie, mixed by Sterling Void, mixed by Tyree Cooper. You can Make It Better, Mikael, mixed by C.S. Loftus. And then She Didn't Know, Paris Brightledge, mixed by Paris Brightledge. You know, this comes from 1991, recorded at Underground Studios here in Chicago. And this one is definitely, you know, in my wheelhouse. I wouldn't call it, you know, hardcore house or acid house, but it's some good dance house. And here's a needle drop from that.
What's up, my friend? Yeah, I'm back again.
I definitely like that one. And if this is part of a series, I'll be on the lookout for some others. Now, the one that I found that I really dig, and this is one of those, that comes with it. It came with it like a generic sleeve, and it is called Ghetto Acid Volumes 1 and 2. Ghetto Acid is Born, and so you've got, here's the label here. I really hate it when they put the price sticker right on the label. I mean, that just so freaking annoying. A lot of good songs on here. I've Lost Control, Sleazy D, and Marshall Jeffers. Acid Bass, DJ Spank Spank. Lost in Acid, Acid Mon. This is the track that I'm going to play too. No Matter What by Acid Driver. Then there's Lies by TFT. Land of Acid. Homohangan G. New York Acid by Simone. Next Level. Saran Burn, the Maurizio remix. So yeah, this comes from, is there a date on here? This is Beatboy Records, and this was released in 2015. But I'm presuming, I think the songs, however, are from earlier than 2015. But this is a good one. I really like this one. This is much closer. These last two definitely are much closer to what I would consider to be, in my wheelhouse. And here's a listen. That is some good groove. That's a good groove. So those are the ones I picked up. Now, I've done some more research and listened to some others. I know that, what's his name? Harris Pilton made some recommendations of this series that is called Classic House Master Cuts. That's a 3-volume series, and they're both like double albums, and I've listened to some of them, and sounds good. That it fits in my wheelhouse. And then I've also listened to online this compilation that's called Acid House Fever. That is one that I have put on my want list. Weird thing is that most of the ones that are for sale, they're really inexpensive, but they are in Europe. But I've noticed that the German sellers tend to have the best shipping rates. So we'll see. I'll see if I can find them locally in the wild, and if not, I can order from there. But damn you, Stunty, you set me down this rabbit hole of the house and acid house. But it's been interesting, especially to find out, to become aware of how significant a role Chicago played in the development of acid house and how much respect it was getting in the community. That was kind of neat to learn about that. I'm always looking for more recommendations, especially of compilations. I've got a lot of singles that are on CD. There are some singles that of particular songs I wouldn't mind getting on vinyl, but I think I would more prefer to be getting, these compilations of the different mixes, to play. So yeah, leave a comment in the down under if you've got any recommendations, and I'll look them up and certainly check them out. Leave a, comment about anything else about this video, whatever. I like to read them. And also remember that I am on Instagram, but my name on Instagram is NewsDude76. That's NEWZDUDE 76. So that's how you can find me on Instagram. And also, please remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.